My name is J.D. Adler, local storyteller here in St. Pete, author. Thank you. Today I'm going to tell you the story about the Conch Republic. Everybody pretty much knows about Key West. You know, you go down to the southern end of Florida, there's a little trickle of islands called the Florida Keys, the southernmost of which is called Key West. Not Key South for some reason, but Key West. And if you go there, you'll see all kinds of signage and flags that say Conch Republic. What you may not know is why they call themselves the Conch Republic. And today I'm going to let you in on that secret, the story that they don't want you to know, why Key West is the Conch Republic. Now, for that story, we have to go back to 1982. 1982, Fidel Castro, El Presidente de Cuba, decides it would be funny to let all of his political prisoners, mostly anti-communist political prisoners, some regular prisoners in the mix, he lets them all out of jail and sends them towards America, across the Florida Straits, into the Florida Keys in South Florida. They land in Key West mostly and start heading north. At the same time, unrelated but simultaneously happening in history, there is a whole mess of contraband coming up from Central America into the Keys and up into Miami. This, for those of you old enough to remember the Scarface movie, this is that same time period in history. So the federal government sees all this contraband and all these illegal immigrants from Cuba coming up through the Keys and into the mainland, and they decide they have to do something about this. They have to control this somehow. And of course, being the federal government, their solution is both stupid and cruel to everyone except the people who are the target of their operation. So what do? They blockade the only road going in and out of the Florida Keys, search every car, not random cars, every single car coming in and out of the Florida Keys for contraband, and they demand citizenship papers from every single individual. Which, of course, being American citizens, they don't carry proof of citizenship around the country with them. A driver's license is not proof of citizenship. You need a passport or a birth certificate. Who carries that around inside America? And searching every car and trying to get all these papers creates an incredible delay. There is a 15-mile traffic jam down the Florida Keys, across bridges, the 7-mile bridge, for hours. Imagine being trapped for hours on a bridge with nowhere to go because one day the federal government decided to blockade the only road in and out. 15-mile traffic jam. People are furious. The mayor of Key West, Mayor Wardlow, he files a suit, goes up to Washington, D.C. to appear before a federal judge. The federal judge dismisses the case, basically saying, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says, shut up and do what you're told. Yeah. The press asked Mayor Wardlow right after this hearing what he thinks of the decision, and he says, well, if they're going to treat us like foreign citizens, we might as well secede and be a foreign country. So he goes back to Key West. The city council has an emergency meeting. They secede from the United States of America, declaring themselves the Conch Republic. Then they go up to where the blockade is, him and Mayor Wardlow and a bunch of his buddies. They have one of their buddies dressed up in a U.S. Navy sailor suit, a formal. It's more like an old movie one, like a Danny Kaye kind of movie, you know. I joined the Navy to see the world, and what did I see? I saw the seas, that kind of one with the big broad thing. So they got this guy dressed up as a Navy sailor. They take a stale loaf of Cuban bread. They read their Declaration of Secession, declare war on the United States of America, break the stale loaf of Cuban bread over the fake sailor's head in a symbolic act of war, and then immediately surrender to the United States of America, demanding war reparations in the amount of $1 billion. As far as I know, to this day, they have never received any of that money. However, due to all the press and the bad optics, the blockade did get taken down, which is all they were after in the first place, which is why, to this day, the slogan for the Conch Republic is, "We seceded where others failed."